Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, GaylCarson13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gayle Carson, and I am with Leslie Hassler, and this is our wonderful Women in Business show. Leslie takes businesses from surviving and cash-strapped to thriving cash-generating companies, impacting their communities and creating financial legacies by prioritizing ease, profits, and sustainability. She works with smart women business owners in service-based industries who work hard for success, who refuse to give up, and who are dedicated to scaling their business profitably with expert support to achieve their goals in record time. I also want to remind those of you who are listening to go to my website, which is spunkyoldbroad.com, subscribe to my YouTube channel. On my website, you will find my store, you will find the virtual SOB club, you will find the university where my online self-study courses are, and so forth. And now I'd like to welcome Leslie Hassler. How are you, Leslie?
Howdy, Gayle. It's so good to be here with you.
Thank you. So let's ask you first, because, this is a Women in Business show. How did you come to the concept for your business?
So I came to the concept for Your Biz Rules really after a couple of years of conversations with God. So I had a first business. We had a journey in there that maybe we'll chat about, but I really was at a point in time to where we were successful. We were making money. I had team, but man, I wasn't happy. And so I really spent a couple of years going around, okay, God, if it's not this, then what? And that question and that continued conversation really forced me to look at what I loved about being an entrepreneur and the kind of impact I wanted to have in the world. And what was birthed in a lot of ways was this business, Your Biz Rules.
Well, that's interesting because, I do think that we morph. I think we go into business to do one thing and we end up doing something else. And very often the something else takes over at a higher income and a higher result than what we originally started. But, and of course, our own desires change too. So what is your guiding vision? Because you went through all of this questioning and all of this, well, is this what I should be doing? So what is your guiding vision?
So our guiding vision really is about empowering prosperity for every business. I believe every business has the potential to be successful. And if we can just help them do that, help our clients do that, help people that maybe just are listening to this show, right? Help them get to that level of prosperity, whatever that means for them, then we've done a really good job. Because a strong business has impact in the world. It is able to employ, even if it's just only able to employ one person, or, you subcontract out to another business. It is really this wonderful, positive web that we can weave together as a community when the business is prosperous. And so that's really what our guiding vision is.
Wow. So what do you think, since there are a lot of, well, let's call them business advisors out there.
Yeah.
What sets you apart from others in your industry?
It's interesting. We do things a little differently. I was writing an email and I went, I just broke the cardinal rule of business coaching. And part of that is that one of the deals I made with God, during those conversations and coming into this space was, if I could answer any question 15 minutes or less, I would just answer it. Wouldn't try to sell somebody. I wouldn't try to sign somebody up. I would just answer it. Because oftentimes, my first business, I needed a little nudge. I needed a little push in the right direction. I just needed a little clarification. But I wasn't ready to take on larger commitments. So we do that. If I can't answer the question in 15 minutes, I'll be honest, it's probably a bigger problem that needs bigger attention. And I let people know that all the time. So that's kind of one thing, is that we really do pay it forward in a lot of things that we do. We also, what I'm really good at is making change easy. A lot of times when businesses get to the point in time to where things aren't working, or they're working hard and they have nothing to show for it, or they just feel like shutting the puppy down, we have to create change that happens quickly and that feels good. And a lot of people fear change. So we just make that process a little bit easier by focusing on simple things that can get done really easily and then have a compounding effect. And I know this works because what's funny is I tell my clients all day long, if I do a good job, you shouldn't need me forever. If I do a great job, and if our work, we do a great job together, then it sticks even when we're not together. And I'll go back to clients 3 and 5 years later, and it's still working. That's really good in my book, but it's very anti, coaching industry, and where you want to keep people on as long as you can. And that's good business. I'm not going to knock that, but it's just not why we're in business.
So what has been your biggest surprise in the last few months, and why?
Oh, golly. It's so interesting to me. Every time you are looking to increase your business or up level your business or take it to that next stage, yourself has to kind of get the same up level, upgrade, elevation. And for me, we're in a big up leveling for the business. And I think one of the things that I've looked at with everything that we've been putting into place and ramping up is I just didn't understand the sheer amount of effort. Nothing's been complicated, but it is depth, right? That we're putting together programs and doing new marketing ventures, and really it's requiring a focus and more team that I just didn't see as being part of what I needed. So I look back to the investments we've made. I've made some investments where I'm like, oh, please just tell me what to do. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness I did that, because I don't think I would have ever figured it out. I think
you found that, because sometimes you do that and it isn't what you need, or they tell you they're going to be able to show you what to do, and then it isn't what you expected at all. So I'm so happy that what you invested in, panned out for you, which is another lesson for our listeners. You can't do it all by yourself, no. And you do have to invest money, and sometimes it's money you don't have. And, it really is amazing what the right people and right mentors can do for you. So it's something you should all investigate. So, so what do you think is the one thing your work does for your clients that you didn't expect?
When I first started this business, we were talking about business growth and business scalability. And when I started looking at my client testimonials, this one little theme popped out, and it was just so intriguing to me. And I think one of my clients said it best. She goes, you know what? We've worked on a lot of different things, and the profits are better and cash and better. But what I never expected was this calm peace and confidence that I know that the next thing, because there will be something, right? Our markets are changing, our worlds are changing. I know I can handle it. Whereas before, I worried about it capsizing me. And so I think it's that unspoken confidence that we gain in who we are as a leader, what our business does, and the value that we provide, and our ability to be here for the long term.
Well, of course, you do want to be there for the long term, although, the end may not look like the beginning. But what have you seen as the biggest obstacles to success that you have encountered with the entrepreneurs that you're dealing with?
So it's the 3 M's, if you will. So it's the mind, what you believe in. If Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That proves true time and time again. It is our relationship to money and how you manage money, how you motivate it to come in, and how you allow it to flow out of your business, and what you do in between. And then the last thing is really motivation. A lot of times we get to a certain level of success and then we get comfortable because the bumps and the bruises from growth are still with us. And we don't understand, there's this a stage where you go from growing to building an empire and from there becoming a world changer. When you hang out in empire building for a while, you don't always get to have as much impact and change in the world that you really have the potential to do.
It's funny you say that. You left out one of the M's, which I thought it was going to be one, but it isn't, and that's marketing. But I will say, I so get that comfortable part. I was in business for, almost 50 years when I decided to embark on this spunky old broad situation. And I thought, incorrectly, because I had been in business for so long, so many people knew me. I had been all over the world because I spoke in 50 countries and 49 states. And I had so many clients. I had 1,000 clients in 50 industries that it was just going to be like everybody was going to flock to me because they all were saying, "Oh, Gail, I want to be just like you. Pack me in your suitcase. I want to go with you. I want to live your kind of life." And I would say, "No, you don't. You'd be exhausted because, it takes a certain kind of personality to do that."
Yeah.
Well, I learned, no, it doesn't matter how well known you are. You still have to pitch. Just like there are movie stars who have won Oscars and Golden Globes and Emmys, and they still have to audition for a part. Now, some people, they'll say, "No, I want Tom Hanks for this. I want Meryl Streep for this." But yet there are people, I think it was Matthew McConaughey who said the other day, "Yeah, I had to audition for Titanic when I didn't get the role," So, it is what it is. And you just can't ever let your guard down. So what are some of the other blind spots that you see for the businesses that you deal with?
I think that's really a great point that you just brought up. And, there's a book that What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I think is a really interesting read for people who've had success, because success can be a blind spot, especially if it puts us into the knowing realm of we did that didn't work, I know how to do this, and keeps us out of this inquisitive mode. And I liken to business success nowadays is really achieved by being a little bit of a mad scientist, because things that worked in the past are not working in our future. And what got you here might not be the thing that gets you to the next level. So you really do have to have so much more of okay, let's figure it out. Okay, let's test and measure. Okay, let's see if this works, because there's just too much change happening in our world. We've seen that proven true in the last 12 months, 18 months, time and time again. So I think that's an interesting one that you bring up, is that success can be our blind spot. But I also think, though, for a lot of business owners earlier on in the journey, the blind spot is numbers. What I hear all the time is, "I'm not a numbers person." I'm like, good, don't do your bookkeeping. But that doesn't mean you don't need to understand what the numbers mean. And a lot of times we act as that translator of what are the numbers of your business telling you and how can you use it to your advantage. It doesn't have to be complicated. But it's a gold mine. It's about the clearest crystal ball that we can use to grow your business.
Well, it's so true. I think these last 18 months, the last 12 for sure, have changed how everybody thinks about business. I think there are people who will, it's a big statement, but there are organizations that will never go back to in-office situations. Everything will be online. And as long as they're responsive online, and as long as their customer service department can keep up with everything, they'll be fine. But it's just, if you're on hold for 4 hours, like I am sometimes with my cable company, then that's not good. But I think More and more people are attending meetings and conferences because they don't have to fly anywhere. Meetings are much more efficient. I know I run a mastermind group for not-for-profits, and our meeting time is usually 3.5 hours, and we get everything done online in less than 2 hours. So, there's a lot of changes going on that are, really just because we've learned a lot. And it's made a big difference in the amount of space that people occupy in offices because they don't need as many cubicles or meeting rooms, et cetera, et cetera. So what are some actions that you think business owners should be taking right now that they're not?
Oh, you know what? I've seen so many business owners just hanging out because it feels like anything they do, it's going to change tomorrow. There was a Harvard Business article that talked about roaring out of a recession, and one of the key stats in it, and they studied, 60 years of economic events, but one of the key things they said is 74% of our market leaders will never regain their market leader status again after an economic recession. And only 9% come out of it stronger than ever before. So what are those 9% doing? Well, they're doing the things that you're likely not doing in your business. And one of those key things is to be comprehensively offensive. Like, don't go believing, it's Candyland and everything's gold, but being offensive in your business, looking at new markets, looking on how you can build and create and prepare to scale. Even if your market and your industry is down, there's so much inner work that you could be doing in your business that means you're going to catapult as soon as those clients start coming to life again. And I think people are hanging out, or they're being so ultimately defensive that they're almost strangling the business itself. You have to have this a little bit belief that it will get better. It will come back. It will. You need to be ready. And most businesses aren't ready.
Well, I think it's also listening, Leslie. I think it's listening to two sets of people. Number one, your clients. What are they telling you that they want that you haven't been able to give them? Or what are they not interested in that you've been trying to sell them and they have no interest in? But it's also listening to your constituents, your employees, because people on the front line know so much more than those of us in the ivory tower, so to speak. In other words, they're dealing with clients every single day. They hear the complaints, they hear the kudos. They hear, well, why aren't you doing this way? Or why is this so complicated to do this way? I think if they listen to the clients, like I got a call the other day. This has nothing to do with anything, except it just shows you, from the fraud department of one of my credit cards. And there was a charge, believe it or not, of $1.57. And they wanted to know if I had made the charge. And they said, I said, well, what is it to? Because I charge so many things, so who could remember? Well, It was to Etsy, and I'm familiar with what Etsy is, but I've never bought anything on Etsy. And it was just someone who somehow had gotten a hold of my credit card and was testing to see whether it would go through. And of course, we shut it down. But the whole thing was immediate, from the fraud department. So what is your fraud department? Now, it doesn't have to actually be fraud, but it could be maybe you're providing a service that's time intensive or cost intensive that people really don't care about. Or maybe you're not providing a service that people do care about. So, it's just like I did some, I'll never do it again, but I did I won't say with whom. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. But I did a Thanksgiving holiday takeout because, I'm immune compromised, so I don't go anywhere to eat. So I was doing a takeout turkey dinner for a person in my building and myself. And, and so they had a takeout line, but the takeout line, first of all, there was no place to park. So I had to park a block away. Then when I finally got to the line, which I thought, oh, wow, this is nice. But it wasn't, because it took time for them to check you in and make sure there were no more than X number of people in the store at the time. And then when you got into the store, it was another line. to get your meal, and then once you got your meal, there was another line to check out. So all in all, it was a really long experience. And then, of course, I had to push. I took one of the shopping carts and I had to push the meal to my car because I was parked a block away. So I never ordered another meal from them because it was just too complicated and too horrendous for me to do it. And I love Whole Foods, but this was not a good experience. So I think when people, just don't listen to what their constituents have to say, it makes a big difference. And I think it also makes a big difference with everybody was courteous to me. I can't say that. They were wonderful, but it just took forever. So
it lacked ease.
Pardon?
It lacked ease.
Exactly.
It was too complicated.
Exactly right. So, I know that you say that you continue to take courses or learn from people to stay on top of things. What do you recommend to your clients to stay on top of things?
So I think you should always be learning, but there's a balance. I was talking to a client and it's just like, I'm on another webinar. And I'm like, okay, there's a balance here, right? There's a balance between learning and being curious. And then there's the balance to implementing. And so I do think I personally go through moments where I learn a lot and then I spend a lot of time implementing. So I might take a month or two to.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. And so I don't, I'm very choosy with what I choose to learn, and I have very defined intentions. Like, I am reading this because of X. Like, I read Range. Range is, oh my gosh, I felt like it was followed me my entire life. But I read it because I identified with the generalist, and I was like, okay, how do I better communicate this? Maybe if I learn more, then I could better communicate, because it is a huge selling point for my business. It's having an intent when you do it and then making space to implement. But I will tell you, I probably learn for 2 months and then I implement for 6.
Wow, that's terrific. I got to get better at that myself. That's fantastic. Well, I'll tell you, we're running out of time, Leslie. We've only got about 4 minutes left. How can people get a hold of you? I don't know if you have a free gift for anybody, but how can people get a hold of you and so forth?
Yeah, actually, I have something fun for your listeners if they'd like. We have a quiz that's at scalingrich.com, and it's how do you determine your scaling rich personality. So it's a really fun quiz, quick and easy to do, but it also helps you identify where you are in your business and maybe what that next thing you should do. So we're famous for helping you figure out what that next thing is and maybe the next thing. And then sometimes we tell you what to never do again, because who doesn't love that? So if you head over to scalingrich.com, you can take that quiz, and then we have lots of goodies depending on your personality.
So is that the website you want people to go to, or do you want them to go to YouBiz Rules?
YouBiz Rules works as well. The quiz is on there, but the scalingrich.com URL goes directly to the quiz. But yeah, YouBiz Rules works just as well.
Well, folks, you've heard what Leslie has to offer. You can see she's very innovative. You can see that she has a lot of great ideas. You can see that she doesn't force you to stay with her forever. She also will tell you where she can help you, where she can't help you. I mean, there's so many things that she can deliver to you. And I think taking that quiz, scalingrich.com, that quiz, that's going to help you a great deal, because some of you have grandiose ideas, and you want to grow to $1 million or $2 million business. Others of you are happy with 6 figures, I mean, let me just have 6 figures and it takes care of me. It takes care of my family. That's all I need, So I think that you've got a choice here of what you want to do. And I think it's important for you to decide, where am I going? For example, I'm in a couple of different mastermind groups, and some of them, all they do is talk about, how much money to make and so forth and so on. And I'm beyond that now. I've been there, done that. and I'm beyond that now. What I want now is to absolutely enjoy every single day and, yeah, have enough money to live, but I don't need to conquer the world anymore. So I think you need to look at where you are, what you want, what your family situation is, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you are divorced, whether you have kids, whether you are planning on kids. All those things go into who you are and what you're doing. So now Leslie has two different sites, scalingrich.com, and you can find her quiz there. And then her website is yourbiz, B-I-Z, rules.com. Well, we have about a minute left, Leslie. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think you ended it perfectly. We say all the time that we're not here to judge your zeros, your ideal zeros, what that means for you, but we're just here to help you get whatever it is that you are out to do. So I love that message of allowance and space for people to be the business that they need to be.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank
Leslie
you.
Hassler. Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.